Welcome to Two Guys.
A girl.
And an MBA.
So Donald Trump is in the news again. He visited the Saudi royalty and the Emirati royalty, and he struck up a couple trillion in deals for arms and things. He skipped Kuwait. So what do we think about Trump in the Middle East?
I think he signed a deal. The Saudi Arabia took a position on AI, which they do. They have this big program called Humane, and buying chips from NVIDIA, which I felt was like a massive deal to buy. I think 400 billion. I don't remember the number. So he's cutting a lot of deals, but I think I looked a little bit about what Saudi Arabia is doing to get themselves out of reliance on oil, but also this benefit Trump. Like Trump is pushing for all these tariffs and moving manufacturing back to the United States, and then he I think pushed NVIDIA to make an investment in the United States, and then he went out there and got a deal for NVIDIA with the Saudi family.
Hmm.
So like he's meshing together all these we think separate things, but now he's closing these type of deal, which is great for his for his plan, right, to bring manufacturing back, and then he's pushing Apple also to
Yes.
bring manufacturing back. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, we could talk about all that stuff, but it's not intricate, but they're like webs of influence everywhere that he's kind of meshing it all together, which I find interesting. And he started in Saudi Arabia, who have lots of money.
Hmm.
I mean,
There's
isn't
lots
there
of
a
money.
conflict of interest? Didn't the Qataris give him his own plane? That's I heard, and that he gets to
Yeah.
keep it after leaving office.
No,
Hmm.
he's yeah,
Some generous gift.
no, they it blew up here. It's in the U.S. Constitution that you cannot accept any gift from any. It says king, queen. It's not.
Hmm.
It ain't gonna happen. But the media got crazy about that. Trump gets a plane, 400 million payoff, and I'm like, okay,
I'm
I don't
pretty
know.
sure he already has his own plane. So like,
He
what does
does.
he need? Yeah. So what does he need another? I don't-
Moreover, I can add, recently found the article. Boeing secured largest ever order from Qatar during Trump visit. This is not only for Nvidia, but also for Boeing. So
Yeah,
Mm.
it's like a 210 jets,
amazing.
$96 billion order. So they're like, wow.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
and it looks like Boeing stock skyrocketed on the news.
Yes. Because definitely they have work and they will have a lot of work.
Yeah.
I just wish I was like close to him, so when he does these things, I know like one day in advance. I know it's insider trading, but for God's sake, it just like goes from nothing to like everything, and you're like, oh man, like come on, man. He gets up and he okay. Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, he's cutting a lot of deals and he's going where they have the money. And I think where they also have the ambition to be close to the United States, like with the arms deal and all kinds of stuff. And he's also signing. I think he he okayed Syria and removing sanctions from Syria as long as Syria um, befriends Israel and signs a peace agreement. And he's back there trying to calm down the region. So it's interesting watching this. It's amazing. I don't know where to go with all this.
I mean, I think the price of oil has something to do with it too. I was asking myself the question, why is he even over there? I mean, to do these deals, but like the Saudis, the price of oil has been down, and the Saudis a few weeks ago started pumping more oil into the market, so increasing the supply, keeping the price down. They've been known, as well as other OPEC members, but Saudi Arabia especially, has been known in the past to play with that. They know that
Hmm.
if they start selling more oil, they can affect the price on the market, and if they start buying it back, it's almost like they have a second, central bank. They've got, their central bank of monetary policy, and they've got that oil over there. And like it's kind of a public-private kind of thing now with the Saudi Aramco. But let's be clear, the refineries are still there. The power is still there. The profits, are still, who are the shareholders? Saudis, a lot of them. So, the Saudi royalty. So they still have control critically over their production of their oil. And you know, Trump wants that. He wants a lower oil price. And so it seems like he's over there kind of kissing the ring a bit. That's my impression of it. I could be skewed, but
Well, look, the research shows that he wants oil at around $40 to $50 a barrel. because that's what his promise is. It'll drop gasoline prices, but all the cost of manufacturing that rely on, some sort of fuel is going to drop. The challenge is that I did some research to actually break even with American production. Mostly it starts at 40 to 50 and goes even higher for Texas, goes up to 60. That means that if the price goes too low per barrel, it becomes, not economical to pull it out of the ground, especially this shale oil. It's just too expensive to extract it. So on one hand, you want consumer prices to go down, right? More supply, cheaper oil. But the other side is you want to produce more, but if you're not producing at a break-even number, then there's no chance of producing oil. So I don't know where the strategy is here and where the balance is. But
And
yeah,
it's also not only about producing, it's also about transfer. South Arabia is closer to Europe and just easier to get oil
Yeah.
from Arabian world than from the US.
yeah,
So
and
about
also
controlling the access. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and replacing Russian oil. I mean, that
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
on the table as well, right? For Europeans to say, okay, no longer can buy, and India.
I think
Um,
Italy did it 2 years ago and 3 years ago. Then it decided don't use much oil from Russia. They switch and made a deal with South Arabia. Why not? Why not?
that could be forcing his hand for peace, because if they start to, force sanctions or tariffs on countries who are buying Russian oil, that would cut off Russia's bank because that's how they're making money. And India
Mhm.
is they're probably
I,
discussing that right now.
I think the sanctions are already there, not for India though, but like yeah, you're saying like if they were to
Secondary sanctions, yeah.
secondary sanction,
Oh,
yeah,
I
okay.
think for me it's not enough. So more sanctions.
Well, that's what he's holding off. I think he said it that he could actually. He's doing an interview that if to force Russia to the table, he hasn't done it yet, but he is looking at it and he's sending the signal that you better make peace. If not, the next step is to put secondary tariffs and sanctions on countries
Hmm.
who buy your oil. That's it, and
Who
then
buy
that.
and then have a list who sell the oil,
Yeah,
like to provide an alternative. Okay, India, don't sell here or sell there, and you buy here and there. So just reconnect the network and provide a new way to sell. Maybe he didn't sell or don't going to not to sell US oil, but he make the deal for others.
yep, yep.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing that's happening is that in the market, the oil companies are way down. A lot of oil companies are selling below book value. So that means, the market
Stock
price
yeah,
should usually
right,
be above the book value,
right.
right? Like if you were to sell all the assets of the company, it should be like less than all the shares of the company in the market. But now it's the other way, that you could buy the whole company and the assets on the books would be more than what you paid, which is this is good. That's what you want. But in the market, that's not usually how it works because the book value is usually based on historical costs of assets. So it's usually lower, not always, but the fact that the oil prices are so low means that some of these companies are getting in this inverted situation. And so I was buying oil stocks like crazy last week, Chevron and
Did you make
some other
money?
ones.
That's all the fans
Uh
want to know. Or are you
we'll
bringing
see.
options?
I write
Okay,
I
right.
write 30, 40-day contracts. So we'll know in a month. But I closed one contract out profitably last week. So, but for sure, like oil's down. Oil stocks are kind of right now like similar to the sin stocks, the tobacco companies. People they have the stigma around them. People don't want to buy them. A lot of people have ethical concerns. They won't put that in their portfolio. And we're talking like big institutional investors and things like, oh, we're not gonna have Chevron or Exxon or whatever in our pension fund. We're above that, and it's like that
So
creates
they'll
a buying
they'll
opportunity,
they'll key it on their keyboard made of like petroleum byproducts, and they'll put like they'll get in their
right?
car
They'll get
and
in their
drive to
car and
work
drive
like,
to,
so
yeah,
that they don't buy the stock, right? It's like what? I mean, to like die on that hill, and it's kind of hypocritical. I mean, you could anyway. I find that hilarious, right? Like oil's everywhere.
yeah,
You need it for everything, for plastics. You need it for everything. It's just
yeah.
not gasoline. Uh, but okay,
And
I'll
it's
be
not going
ethical.
away anytime soon. But
No.
despite the narratives, a lot of the green energy takes oil inputs. Some of them take more oil inputs
Mhm.
than they reduce, take more carbon inputs than, so it's not going anywhere. We're on the way to better, cleaner, renewable future, but not in our lifetimes, I would say. Maybe in our kids' lifetimes, maybe. But like you
Yeah.
say, they still make all the plastic. It's not just the fuel and it's the plastics and everything's made out of rubber, everything.
Please consider subscribing below.
Thank you for being with us. Please leave your comments, feedback, what you think about us, and see you in the next podcast. Bye.